Look at the market right now. Everything bleeding, everything pulling back. Every influencer suddenly switching their tone. But here's the truth. This isn't the collapse. It's the setup. The same setup we've seen 100 times in history. When Rome was about to shift, markets crashed. When the gold standard changed, markets crashed. When the internet rewired the economy, markets crashed. When every major monetary system upgrades, there's always a controlled demolition first. And right now, you are living in one of those moments. They're not destroying the markets, they are resetting the scoreboard. And guess who benefits the most when the dust settles? Not the tourists, not the gamblers, and not the meme chasers, but the ones who held through the engineered pain. The ones who stayed calm while others panicked, the ones who understood the long term thesis. What if the next evolution of the internet is being built right under our noses and most people are completely missing the signs? What if one of the most ambitious projects in the crypto space is finally showing signals that the market has been waiting for? And today, we're not talking about hype. We're not talking about short term noise. We are talking in depth about the Internet Computer Protocol or ICP. And we're going to break down the key indicators that suggest a major shift could be on the horizon. Stick with me because what I'm about to show you might just change your perspective on where the future of the web is heading. Let's send it, and it's me, Domenico. All right, so you understand what's happening with ICP? You first need to understand the cycle of any groundbreaking technology. Think about the early days of the internet. You had pioneers, the visionaries, who got in at the very beginning. For a long time, their actions dictated the market. They were the big players. But over time, that changes. As technology matures, ownership becomes more distributed. The early players, they move on, and the influence starts to fade. It's a natural process of decentralization. And we're seeing some interesting data that suggests a similar cycle is playing out with ICP. Because for the past couple of years, the market has been in what some analysts call a long-term consolidation phase. Think of it like a giant spring being coiled. During this stage, the early stage supply has been slowly, steadily changing hands, moving from a few large holders to a much wider base, which has been the process over the last several years. So why does this matter? Because it can change the entire dynamic of the market. When ownership is more spread out, it builds a stronger foundation. The long-term pressure from early insiders can begin to ease up, creating a more stable environment for potential growth. It is a subtle shift. It takes time, but it's one of the most important things to watch in an asset's life cycle. And we've seen this pattern play out time and time again in the tech history. And you saw that in Zcash, you've seen that in Bitcoin, you've seen that in Ethereum. It repeats itself. And now combine that with the fact that ICP has historically found a strong support base around here between, say, $3 to $5. Not financial advice, but has consolidated around these levels for a long period of time. For 2 years, this has been a significant zone of activity. This isn't about predicting prices, okay, but about understanding market behavior. It's where the technology has constantly found the floor of interest and belief. It's like the market is drawing a line in the sand. So, the ownership is becoming more distributed. That's piece number one. But what about the engine itself? I'm talking about liquidity. Look, a market without deep liquidity is trying to drive, say, a supercar on a tiny go-kart track. It doesn't matter how powerful the car is if the track can't handle it. And for a long time, this was a challenge for many altcoins. But recently, ICP's daily trading volume has been consistently hitting impressive numbers, often between 500 million and even over $1 billion. Let me translate what that means in simple terms. The market is now a massive deep ocean instead of a small pond. Big waves, large buy orders and sell orders by institutions can be absorbed without causing a tidal wave. This depth allows for smoother price action, indicates a much more mature, robust market. It suggests that while some are selling, there is a significant growing base of interest on the other side. The on-chain data appears to show that the number of wallets holding ICP is an expansion, which points to a broadening of the network's user base. But the real story isn't just in the numbers, it's the why. Why is this technology attracting such a high level of attention? ICP is one of the only projects out there trying to build the true decentralized world computer. We're not just talking about smart contracts. We're talking about hosting entire applications, websites, services directly on the blockchain. It has real compute power, real data storage, real utility that you can use today. And when you look at the fundamentals, the actual tech, it stands in a league of its own. In a world of hype, this project with a tangible working product and that asymmetric potential is what's really turning heads. Okay, so we have shifting ownership structure and a powerful liquid engine. But there's a third piece of the puzzle, and it's one that I think is being completely overlooked. And I'm talking about on-chain artificial intelligence. The Caffeine AI framework on ICP is expected to move out of its beta phase soon. Now let's just sink that in for a second. This would make ICP the first blockchain capable of full stack artificial intelligence and application hosting, all in one decentralized ecosystem. This isn't just a small upgrade, it is a potential paradigm shift. Imagine artificial intelligence models that can run transparently on chain or decentralized applications with intelligence baked directly into their core. This isn't just a white paper idea. The code is being actively developed and deployed. From my perspective, not financial advice, the market not has even begun to factor in what could this mean. The conversation around crypto and AI is heating up, but very few people are looking at the projects that are actually building the infrastructure to make it a reality, like ICP. And this catalyst is waiting in the wings, and it could fundamentally change the narrative around what ICP is truly capable of. Now let's zoom out, because none of this is happening in a vacuum. We're heading into a fascinating period for global markets, because at the moment, things are bleeding out because there's not enough liquidity in the system. Basically, reverse repo went down to zero. The TGA has been blocked with a government shutdown. Credit markets are dysfunctioning. That's what's called SOFR rates to rise. And what happens when there's not enough credit liquidity in the system? What hits the hardest? Crypto, because it has the highest vol. And this is why we've seen the markets bleed out. Then also with the December rate cuts, with not enough data, the wait and see approach, they most likely are not going to cut. And this is spooking the markets with both of these factors aligning. But this is the short-term liquidity noise. We can say over the next month, quarter, but going into 2026, the macro liquidity expectations are going to completely change, because what's happening, and be prepared for massive amounts of liquidity injections to happen worldwide. And once these injections start to happen, there's always a lag effect, could be several months or so, generally speaking, before they actually feel the effect into the broader markets. Because we've seen reports of Japan preparing a $110 billion stimulus package, China approving a massive $1.4 trillion package. The US has been issuing trillions of dollars in treasuries. They have to roll over 10 trillion next year, just the US alone. QT ends in December. Canada's restarting the quantitative easing program. Then you're talking the $2,000 stimulus check from Trump. Global liquidity is going to go to new highs by the end of 2026. It's not financial advice, do your own research, but the probability is in the upper echelon, not financial advice. And historical, and eventually, when this much capital eventually enters the system and goes down the risk curve, it has to find a home. And I can tell you from being a macro analyst, it often flows into technology and other risk-on assets. And that's why Bitcoin has performed the best as the best performing asset over the last 20 years, because it's highly correlated to global liquidity. Because the best technologies always perform the best when there's high global liquidity. Ethereum did the same. And I believe that ICP is going to be the best technology in Web3 and blockchain technology. And once we have these easy financial conditions of rising global liquidity, it's going to do what history has always repeated itself to do. Because this global liquidity wave hasn't fully hit the markets yet. As I told you, these things will take months to play out. And then we're also not factoring in that Trump is going to take control of the Fed in May. Once Powell leaves, he's going to control the Fed. He'll have a yes man cutting rates down to 1%. They're going to run it hot. Treasury Secretary Besson even said it. They're going to run the economy hot. We're going to go through an AI productivity boom. The infrastructure spend is going to go up to the right. So the best time to research is during these moments of despair and uncertainty, when the business cycle and the PMIs are at 50 or below. Not when the crowd has already turned. When the PMIs, when the business cycle gets towards 60, that's probably where we're at the top of the market. It's about understanding the fundamentals before the major rotation happen. The major rotations always happen in phases of capitulation. It's always been like that. My best investments over the medium long term, and I'm talking about macro investments, they always perform the best after capitulation. It's how the retails buy the discounts and screw over retail. It's rinse and repeat. And right now, the tech world is buzzing. You can factor in that. NVIDIA even proved it yesterday, posting record earnings. You know what this means? It's signaling enormous infrastructure spending ahead. This all contributes to a larger narrative of the technological expansion we are witnessing. And this is also with ICP. It takes a big correlation of confluence with what ICP is doing. Remember, this content is for informational entertainment purposes only and should not be taken as financial advice. I am not your financial advisor. Always do your own research and consult a licensed financial advisor before making investment decisions. I'm just trying to point you where to look at so you can always do your own research and then make the best informed decisions for yourself. I just want to show you the vision of where to look at because we're still in the early stages of this new altcoin season. It hasn't started, which could unfold in the next several months or up to in the next 6 months. And if that happens, history suggests that capital will flow into projects with strong fundamentals and real world utility as we have institutional adoption now. And that money is going to go into real world utility. And this is why understanding technology, liquidity, business cycles, and capital flows are not just hype. This is fundamentally important. That's why I'm giving you the whole macro picture, because it gives you the insight on how to position over the medium long term, not financial advice, so it can give you the best research possible. So that's why you always need to do your own research to look at the bigger picture. It's fundamental. So what do you think? Am I missing something here? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one of them. And if you get any value from this breakdown, do me a favor. Hit that like button and subscribe. We're going to be covering things in this space like no one else does. So what should you do with this information? This is not about just telling you what to do. Think about giving you the tools to do your own research. That's why I do this. Go to the Definity website. Look at projects being built on ICP. See for yourself what the developer ecosystem looks like. Second, read into the technical documentation. Understand how their on-chain storage and computation works. Third, look at the on-chain data yourself. Explore the ecosystem. See how the network is growing. The goal is to build your own conviction based on your research. That's how you navigate this space successfully. And you want to be subscribed because I do my best to drop high quality ICP alpha daily to keep you informed of the ecosystem and what's happening in the macro environment, because this is what's going to affect where ICP and the technology space is going to go and what is happening in the overall markets. And share this with many people who need to know the truth. A lot of people are misinformed, unfortunately. Look, the future is coming faster than we can imagine. The convergence of AI, blockchain, decentralized infrastructure, we're heading into the singularity. It's going to reshape our world. There's no two ways about that, and there's nobody that's going to stop that. Whereas ICP or another blockchain, the one thing that's certain is that the internet of tomorrow will not look like the internet of today. That's for sure. The key is to stay curious, Stay educated, more importantly, and keep your eyes on the builders. The signals are there if you know where to look. That's important. And thanks for watching. Stay sharp, stay informed, stay decentralized, and I'll see you on the internet computer. Peace out.